As you are getting logged in, feel free to use the chat and let us know where you are joining us from. And if you have any questions for us tonight, you can put those in the chat feature as well. And we'll try to do our best to make sure we get those answered for you. We're going to start in just another minute or two. Hi, Alex. Thanks for sharing and thanks for joining us. If you're just joining, we're just waiting another minute or so while everyone gets logged in and joins us. Feel free to use the chat to let us know where you are joining us from. And if you have any specific questions for us tonight, feel free to put them in the chat and we will do our best to make sure we get them answered. Proud Illinois State alum. Thanks for joining us. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started, but feel free to continue to use the chat feature to let us know where you are joining us from, or if you have any specific questions. I have a couple people who are here with me this evening that I want to make sure we have a chance to introduce. Starting with myself, my name is Amy Dennison. I am the Director of MSW Student Services here at the School of Social Work at ISU. I am responsible for all of the recruitment, admissions, and advising for all of our graduate social work students. Dr. Stipp?
Hi, I'm Karen Stipp. I'm MSW Program Director. So I'm looking forward to getting to meet people and know people.
And Sona?
Hi, I'm Sona Chalian. I'm the Director of Field. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Thank you. And Rachel?
Hi, everyone. Good to meet you tonight. I'm Rachel Karachi, the Associate Director in the Graduate School, and my job tonight is to answer any questions that you may have from admissions, and if we have any international students on the line, I can answer those tonight as well. So good to see you all.
Thank you to my colleagues for being here. Our School of Social Work Department Chair, Dr. Danica Winfrey Avant, was unable to join us this evening, but she is an integral member of the support team for our MSW students. So I did just want to mention her name because she really wanted to be here, but unfortunately was unable to. So just want to start with a little bit of an overview about ISU and about the BloomingtonNormal community. If you are unfamiliar with the campus or unfamiliar with the community, here's just a few statistics to share with you about campus. You'll see up in the right-hand corner that 100% of graduate assistantships on campus come with tuition waivers. We are going to talk about graduate assistantships a little bit later in a little bit more detail. We're ranked as a top 5 best college town. We have more than 690 unique employers who recruit our students, and we are nationally ranked number 62 by Washington Monthly. And then as far as the Bloomington Normal community goes, we are situated really nicely between both Chicago and St. Louis. There is also an Amtrak transportation center just a minute or two walk away from campus. So you can easily access some of those larger cities if you're looking to get a little bit of travel. The Bloomington Normal community has a population of about 132 residents, and there's tons of arts and culture and restaurants and all kinds of fun things to do in the community, a lot of which is within walking distance of campus. So I always think it's important just to kind of highlight our campus and our community, because there's a lot going on here. But you all came to hear about the social work program. So let's dive into some of the specifics about the MSW program. So we offer two different areas of specialized practice. We offer a child and family practice specialization, which is really going to focus on some of the key social issues that we're seeing in society today: mental health, intimate partner violence, poverty, substance misuse. Students who choose child and family practice tend to find themselves in a wide variety of employment opportunities. It could be child welfare, clinical mental health, hospital or hospice social work. It could be more macro level social work, working with the government or at the policy level. So there's a lot of different directions that a student who specializes in child and family practice could go. The other specialization that we offer is school social work, and this is going to prepare you for the professional educator's license with a school social work endorsement that you need, at least in Illinois as it stands right now, to be a school social worker. But you're also going to get all of the education and information that you need about working with students who have individualized education plans, IEPs, 504 plans, providing that additional social, emotional, behavioral support for those kiddos who just need a little bit more support and encouragement in schools. And so even though the school social work specialization is going to prepare you for the license in Illinois, the coursework is still transferable to other states if you do decide to leave Illinois and want to practice as a school social worker in another state. There just may be a little bit of different requirements that you would have to look into, but your degree will still transfer. And then we also have a post-MSW school social work graduate certificate. And this is for students who already have an MSW and just want to get the specific credentials to practice as a school social worker. Dr. Stipp, do you want to talk just a little bit more about what students can expect in the classes in those specializations?
Sure. So we have 5 areas of social work education. There's policy, practice, research, human behavior, which is kind of a theory, and then field education. So the coursework will prepare you so that when you go out into the field, you have some kind of idea of how social workers think. That maybe the human behavior courses help you identify how do social workers view problems that are occurring within individuals and within the environment. The policy issues that occur, there are different ways of looking at policy. If you turn on the news, you hear all kinds of different ways of looking at policy, and we give you a particular social work lens on that, looking beyond the individual and seeing what's happening in the larger environment. So those are the foundation before you go out into your field placement.
Thank you. So we also offer a few optional enhancement to your plan of study. We partner with the Department of Sociology and Anthropology to offer a social aspects of aging graduate certificate. And we also partner with the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies Department to offer a Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies graduate certificate. So either one of these graduate certificates can be added on to your MSW degree, and it just allows you to focus in a particular area a little bit deeper than what you might get into with your social work degree. So the social aspects of aging certificate is really great for individuals who are interested in working with older or aging adults. It's really going to give you that curriculum that focuses on that lifespan development and just really kind of help you specialize in that particular area. And then the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies certificate is really going to give you language to talk about gender inequities, sexuality inequities, a lot of the things that we're seeing, like Dr. Stipp said in the news today. And it's just going to help you have that intersectionality lens to promote the work that you're doing with your clients a little bit better. So both of those are available to do in addition to your MSW. And then we also have a child welfare option. It is not a graduate certificate, but it is 2 additional courses that you can take, or 2 courses that you could take as electives. And the 2 courses, we partner with the Department of Children and Family Services to provide these 2 courses, and they will prepare you with all of the training and all of the exams that you would need to be an employee in the child welfare field. So you're getting all of that training while you're in school. That training and those exams typically can take 3 to 6 months upon hire in the field. So you're really kind of fast tracking your ability to get out in the field and work if you're interested in child welfare. And it's really appealing to employers because that 3 to 6 months of training upon hire, definitely prohibits you from being able to do some of that really much needed work. So any of those are available to kind of tack on to your MSW and work into your plan of study. And if that's something that you're interested in, that's something that we would talk about if you were accepted into the program and how to make that fit into your plan of study. Some additional program requirement information. We do offer an advanced standing option for students who have completed their Bachelor's of Social Work from a CSWE accredited program within the last 8 years. So for those of you who are coming from our BSW program or another BSW program, you would qualify for advanced standing if it's been within the last 8 years. This essentially is going to cut the curriculum in half. The full program is 60 credit hours. For our advanced standing students, it is 30 credit hours. And you will complete the 700-hour specialist practicum placement, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And then the full program, which is for our students who are coming to us with an undergraduate degree in a discipline other than social work, it's a full 60 credit hour program. You will complete both a 400-hour generalist practicum placement and a 700-hour specialist practicum placement. And we'll dig into the practicum placements, the internship pieces in just a second. So the plan of study that you choose is really going to be individualized to you, depending on whether you are advanced standing or full-time, and depending on whether you are child and family practice or school social work. Your plan of study could be anywhere from 1 to 4 years. And so it just depends on what you're coming to the program with in terms of your undergraduate degree and which plan of study you're choosing. So we have a lot of different options. We try our best to work with students and be as flexible as we can. So every student has their own plan of study that works hopefully best with them based on how we can best meet their needs. We are an in-person program. We are not accredited as an online program. We have offered a few online options previously. We obviously made some accommodations or adaptations during COVID to offer remote classes, but we are accredited as an in-person program. The majority of our classes, or almost all of the social work classes, are going to be in-person delivery. The courses typically meet 1 time per week, and most of them meet in the evening from 5:30 to 8:20.
Amy, could I add something about the course of study, the plan?
Yeah.
And that is just that while it's definitely true that each person has their own plan of study. There are cohorts that you'll move through. So there are other people who will have a very similar plan of study to yours, and your cohort is a very important part of your learning. So even though you have your own plan of study, you're not just launching out by yourself. You will definitely be going through within a cohort.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Stipp. That community piece that the students build within their own cohorts is really, really important. And I think a lot of times that's what gets our students through the program, is that connection that they build with one another. So Sona is going to talk to us about the field practicum requirements.
Thank you. So as Amy mentioned, you're going to have your plan of study, which will determine when you're going to go into your generalist practicum placement and when you'll go into your specialist. So to highlight, your generalist practicum placement will be in the summertime. So it starts, depending on the year, the academic year, it starts in mid-May and ends by mid-August, actually typically the first week of August. You're to complete 400 hours in the practicum placement, and that comes out to 33 to 35 hours per week, which basically is almost a full-time job. So I'm just going to say that one more time, 33 to 35 hours per week, which is pretty much a full-time job. And you will concurrently be taking your seminar course that supports your practicum experience. So that's another couple of hours where you're in class. And you are in the same placement for the entire summer semester. I work with you to help get you placed. It's a very scheduled type of process that we go through, and you'll learn more about that once you enter into our program, and I outline that very explicitly. And then when you're going into your final placement, your specialist placement, it's a fall and spring placement. You are committing to being in the same placement for the entire academic year. It is 700 hours for the entire academic year, a minimum of 350 hours per semester. That's about 22 to 25 hours per week. So again, once you get your plan of study, you'll see how many classes you'll be taking concurrently while you're in your practicum placement, so you can plan accordingly. And at a minimum, you're taking your seminar course that supports your practicum experience, as well as a practice research course that is connected to your practicum experience. And again, like I said, that's for the entire academic year. For the schools, school social work specialization folks, at that point, you are required to have your placement in a school setting and supervised by a school social worker with their professional educator's license.
Thank you. So let's talk through the application process quickly. The deadline for applications is March 1st. Applications require transcripts. Unofficial transcripts are fine for your application. Official transcripts will be required prior to enrollment. And we do need transcripts from every previous school or university you've attended. If you're a current ISU student, we can get your transcripts internally, so you don't need to worry about submitting those as long as we have all of the schools or universities you've previously attended, as long as they've already been submitted here. But if you are not a current ISU student, then we do need all of your transcripts. In addition, we require a personal statement and a video submission, and the guidelines for both of those can be found on the School of Social Work website. And then we also ask for a resume and 2 professional letters of recommendation. And the guidelines for the professional letters of recommendation can also be found on our website. For international students, there are just a couple other documents that are needed. We will need proof of English proficiency, a copy of your passport, and then your financial documents as well. Rachel, anything you would like to add about that?
The only thing I can add here is just to say that those documents can be uploaded to your application portal. So it is fairly easy to be able to do that.
So let's talk about how to pay for grad school. I know this is usually a hot topic for a lot of people, and definitely a super important one. So we wanted to make sure we mentioned it. A lot of students are interested in applying for graduate assistantships, and I'm going to talk about that in another slide or two because I want to go into a little bit more detail. But we do also have tuition waivers that are available. The School of Social Work is given a pot of money every year from the university that we are able to distribute to students in tuition waiver money. They are partial tuition waivers. I just want to be very clear, they are partial tuition waivers. They are not full tuition waivers. We just ask for a very simple application and a very short essay, just indicating how the tuition waiver money will support your education. And we typically are able to offer some tuition waiver money to every student who applies that is not receiving tuition waiver money from some other source. So if you have a graduate assistantship, you're going to receive tuition waiver money through your graduate assistantship, so you would not be able to receive tuition waiver money through the School of Social Work. But if you do not have a tuition waiver from another source, then we typically are able to provide some support. But as I said, they are definitely partial tuition waivers. They are not full tuition waivers. There are a few scholarships that are available. There are a couple listed on the School of Social Work website, and there are also some listed through the College of Arts and Sciences. So I always encourage students to look through those scholarship listings. You do kind of have to weed out which ones you're eligible for and which ones you are not eligible for, but definitely apply for as many scholarships as you are eligible for, because every penny helps when you're paying for grad school. And then finally, financial aid may be available to you in the form of student loans or possibly student employment. Sean Rigsby is the graduate financial aid counselor, and he is amazing with our grad students. So if you are seeking some specific information about financial aid, I would definitely encourage you to connect with Sean Rigsby. Rachel, perhaps you could pop his information in the chat for me. So let's talk a little bit more about graduate assistantships. So basically, a graduate assistantship is you become an employee of the university, and in exchange for your employment, you are offered a tuition waiver and a stipend. Just under 40% of our students on campus, of our graduate students on campus, and that's all graduate students, not just social work students, are able to secure a graduate assistantship. 100% of assistantships come with tuition waivers, regardless of the amount of hours you work, regardless of where the graduate assistant position is. All graduate assistant positions are going to come with 100% tuition waiver. Typically, graduate assistants are hired on an academic calendar. So usually you start in August and you end in May, and you're going to receive 100% tuition waiver for that fall and that spring that you work, and then up to 12 credit hours for the following summer. And then you also receive a monthly stipend that can help offset cost of rent or books or whatever other expenses that you may have. So applying for a graduate assistantship is just like applying for a job. There are graduate assistant postings on the Human Resources website. You can begin applying for graduate assistant positions as soon as your application to the program is submitted. The application to the program and applications for graduate assistantships are two totally separate processes. You are not restricted to graduate assistant positions just within the School of Social Work. You are, and I encourage you to apply for graduate assistantships anywhere on campus that you meet the qualifications for, because they can be fairly competitive, as you might understand with the tuition waiver. That's a huge benefit. So a lot of students are seeking GA positions. So I always encourage students to look through all the postings, see which ones you meet the qualifications for, and put in as many applications as you can to increase your chances of securing a GA position. Rachel, anything you would add to that? I had a thought and I lost it.
If I can unmute myself, I would. Okay. I was also just really quickly going to add that we just recently went through some additional benefits for some of our grad students. And two of those I feel like are really good things just to mention. Number one is that all of our GA students now do receive a free health insurance benefit,
Yes.
which is great for you all. That's a huge savings. And then secondly, you would also receive a 10% reduction in your student fees. So some really good benefits. Obviously, everyone wants to be, not everyone, but most students do want to be a graduate assistant for those benefits alone with the tuition waiver, but just know that they are competitive.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. That is all we have for you. We would like to open this up for any questions that you may have for us. Feel free to put them in the chat, or we can unmute you and allow you to speak if you would like to ask a question directly to us.
Well, people are thinking in terms of like how much time does it take to, should you commit to a course? I think I've seen an estimate 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour in class. So if you're taking a 3-hour class on Thursday night, at some point during that week, you need about 6 to 9 hours to commit to that class. So you can do the math, how much time you need. So it is a big commitment of time. It's definitely not something you can do in your spare time. It's a big commitment.
I would say a lot of students come to the program thinking that you know, the workload might be comparable to undergrad, or they might be able to take as many credit hours as undergrad, and then tend to realize fairly quickly that, you know, the reading requirements are definitely more than an undergrad, and so that time budget has to be reallocated sometimes.
Amy, there is another question that came in actually in the Q&A. How
Yeah.
many students are accepted into the program each year? And is it how competitive is the application process?
Yeah, great question. We typically receive anywhere between 80 and 100 applications, and we typically accept around 40 students. It does vary a little bit from year to year, just depending on how many students are graduating and how many you know, slots that opens up, but it's usually around 40. So we're at about a 50% acceptance rate. Any other questions from anyone?
I think I hear some questions formulating. I'm waiting for them to be verbalized.
I do see that Alex Bianco does have her hand raised. So
Okay.
Alex, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if I can do that. You ready? Here we go.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, a real quick question here. I noticed that in the program, like the sample schedules or whatever that they have online, that there is room for electives. I mean, they're required in both, you know, the programs of study. I was just wondering, I'm assuming I know the answer already, but those that child welfare specialist licensure preparation, I'm assuming those two additional electives offered for that would, like, we could probably fit those in for the, like, would those fulfill those elective requirements? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So the child and family practice specialization requires 2 electives. The school social work specialization requires 1 elective. The child welfare courses absolutely will count towards those elective requirements for both the specializations. We have an entire list of our approved elective courses on our website, which I am going to put into the chat right now. And you all can check out our elective courses if you're interested in seeing what is offered. Thank you for asking that question about the electives, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Amy, I see another question in the chat about when can we expect to hear back after submitting an application?
Yes, thank you. So our application deadline is March 1st. We do not wait until the deadline to start reviewing applications. We do our best to review applications in the order that they are received, although that is not always possible for a number of different reasons. So while we hope to have all applications reviewed and decisions out by the end of April, it is possible that you may hear from us sooner than that, depending on where your application falls in the cycle of the rest of the applications, if that makes sense.
So it's possible that people who submit their applications sooner will hear back sooner.
It is possible, yes. It also means that if you submit your application sooner, you can start applying for graduate assistant positions sooner. Do we have any other questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat. Is anyone else seeing any that I missed? Okay. Well, thank you all for taking time to be with us this evening. Thank you to my colleagues for joining as well. If you do have any questions after we disconnect this evening, which is highly likely because that always happens, you think about the question that you want to ask after you get done, don't hesitate to send me an email or give me a call. I'm happy to answer any questions or set up a time to connect with you on the phone, in person, over Zoom, and answer any questions that you might have. And we will make the recording available so you can refer back to any of this information as you're working your way through the application. So thank you all. I hope you have a great night, and we hope to see your applications coming through.